Welcome to Poetry on Form, and today we're going to be looking at the Limerick form. And this is usually a humorous form and can be rude. It's known as a transgressive form, one that breaks taboos. It tries to shock, and its origins we think are around about the 18th century, but came to the fore really in the 19th century. It was incredibly popular then, and one of the most famous writers of limericks is Edward Lear. He actually wrote 212 limericks. That's quite a few, so he was clearly the master of the form. And his book of nonsense, which included his limericks, was a bestseller in 1846. So yes, go to Edward Lear if you want to read lots of limericks and listen to the rhythms and rhymes going on there. Now, as you probably know, most people have read limericks or heard of them. It's only one verse, one stanza of 5 lines, and the rhyme scheme is quite simple. It's A, A, B, B, A. So the last line wraps it all up and echoes the first 2 lines. So it's A, A, B, B, A. So looking a little bit closer at the form, the first, second and fifth lines, so they're known as amphibrachs. That's a strange word. It means that there are 3 feet in the line of 3 syllables each. Now, when we looked at Iambic Pentameter, a foot is that little squaring off, setting off aside of each set of syllables that make up the line. And in the limerick form, a foot there is 3 syllables long. So if I give you an example, you probably hear it more clearly than me explaining it any further. So the first line of one of Lear's poems goes, "There was a young person of Smyrna." Now that's 3 sets of 3 syllables. There was a young person of Smyrna. So there we go, you've got 9 syllables in that line divided into 3 feet, as they're called. And the way that the syllables go with their stress is it's short, long, short. So you got there was a. So the there and the are short, hardly stressed, and the was has got the emphasis on it. So it's there was a. And the same with young person. If you break that down, you can hear young person and of Smyrna, of Smyrna. So putting that all together, you get there was a young person of Smyrna. You've got a definite beat in the middle of those lines coming through. And then the other lines, the third and fourth lines, which are those 2 middle lines of the same rhyme, are shorter, and they're known as anapaests. They're 2 feet of 3 syllables. So they're 6 syllables long. So you've got 2 lots of 3 syllables. And they go short, short, long in the emphasis. So it goes, but she seized on the cat. That's the second line of the limerick we're talking out. But she seized. So it's but she seized. So the seized is the emphasis on the cat. And the cat is the emphasis. So if you can see, you've got 2 sets of syllables. Now this all sounds incredibly complicated. But when you listen to the limerick, you can really hear those very strong beats coming through, and they have a great contrast from the first 2 lines and the last line are those amphibrachs, and the middle 2 the anapaests, and you can hear the contrast between those, and it has a comic effect. And there often is the first line generally places the poem somewhere. So you've got there was a, it's putting it somewhere, and it's often about an eccentric character or from a specific place. So I'm going to read 3 examples now, 2 of which are from Edward Lear, so you can hear those rhythms coming together. And the first example is the one that we've just been using. There was a young person of Smyrna, whose granddaughter threatened to burn her. But she seized on the cat and said, "Granny, burn that, you incongruous old woman of Smyrna." So there's also an element of the absurd in that, isn't there? So grandmother, generally speaking, isn't going to be burnt by their grandmother. So another one by Edward Lear. is a very famous one. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It is just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard." And finally, this is from an anonymous poet. There was a young lady of Lynn who was so uncommonly thin that when she essayed to drink lemonade, she slipped through the straw and fell in. So you've got an absurd poem there with surreal examples of people, strange places. Actually, often the places are ordinary places like Lynn. And then you've got something weird and strange and surreal happening. And then it's all within that very strong beat of the first 2 lines and the last line. And then you've got the little bit in the middle where it kind of twists and turns. So that's the limerick. And I hope you enjoyed that. It's a short form, so it was a short video for you today. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.